photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
Good afternoon and welcome to the judging of the 8th category of the 2025 Australian Photographic Prize, the phone category. Whether you're tuning in from somewhere in Australia or overseas, we are so glad to have you join us as we celebrate phone photography. My name is Robin Campbell and I'm here today on behalf of our 2025 Competition Director Daniel Bingham and Director of Judging Chris Anderson, who've worked incredibly hard to bring this year's awards together. Special thanks also to Nathan Bingham, who's running our live stream, and Helen Bingham, our scribe. In Australia, we open events like this with an acknowledgement of country. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this event is being hosted today, the Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to any First Nations people joining us today. We'd like to thank our sponsors for their contributions to the prize. A huge thank you to our major sponsor, Nikon Australia. Thank you so much, Nikon Australia. They are awarding our overall winner with $5,000 in Nikon gear. Special shout out to Julie, Kylie, and the Nikon team. We really appreciate your support. We'd also like to thank our division sponsors, AZO, for supporting the 2025 Creative Photographer of the Year with a monitor valued at over $2,500. KL and Godox for sponsoring our Classic division, and Ilford for sponsoring our Single Capture division. Also, a big thank you to Photography Studies College, who are offering a $1,500 scholarship to our High School Photographer of the Year, and Print Shop, who have kindly given us a print consultation and 2 A1 prints valued at $500 for the Student of the Year. So please take a moment to visit their websites, tag them in your posts, and show them some love because their support is very much valued. So, this is how the session will run. Each image will be assessed live by our expert panel with real-time commentary, insights, and challenges. Scores will be displayed on the screen as we go. Once all the images have been judged, the panel will deliberate offline to determine the top 3 place getters from Australia and internationally, our winner. So these will be revealed at our live awards presentation next Sunday, the 20th of July. But before we start our judging, we are going to do what's called a run-through. So we get to see the top images from the phone finalists. Thank you, Nathan. It's now my pleasure to introduce our panel mentor who will be guiding our judges today, Tony Hewitt. Tony is a multi-award winning photographer with national and international acclaim, as well as a brilliant presenter, mentor, and educator. We're so honoured to have him with us today. Over to you, Tony.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And of course, a special thanks to the backroom team that make this event possible. It really is an incredible opportunity for us as photographers to get involved and help you out there to get better with your photography, I suppose. And this category in particular, the phone category, which is in the single capture division, is an opportunity to explore the future of photography in some ways. The phone category images are captured using only inbuilt phone cameras. External lenses and other attachments can be used as long as the phone camera remains the primary image capture device. Post-production is limited to phone-based tools, and AI generative tools are forbidden as per the AI tool rules, as the AI tool use rule in the general rules. We have an elite panel. We have a panel from all over, including a couple of our very revered Kiwi friends. But let me introduce you to them all. God, Chris, where's Chris? I've been speaking, I've done the last 3 panels, and I find my voices or my words are getting mixed up. But anyway, we'll get there. Mel Sinclair joins us. Mel's a photographer and an artist from Ipswich in Queensland, and she specialises in landscape and creative imagery. Her work often emerges from spontaneous discovery, places that speak through atmosphere and light. In 2024, only last year, her image, The Bogans Ballet, won the prestigious Stanthorpe Art Prize, and with additional finalist recognition coming from many other national art prizes. She is also an AIPP Master and an NZIPP Associate with qualifications in fine art and creative industries. And she joins us and brings with her a fantastic artistic depth and a spirit of generosity known throughout the industry. Thanks for joining us, Mel. Boots, Amanda Nelson, but Boots to everybody else, comes from the north areas of Queensland. I think it's Queensland area that you're from. She brings a bold, story-driven style of work with a lot of branding, editorial, and portrait photography in amongst the mix. She's won major awards, including the 2024 Nylon Prize, Icon Portrait finalist, and was a People's Choice winner at the Percival Portrait Prize. She's a long-time member of the Australian Prize team, and we're really excited to see her joining this panel for the phone category. Craig Vetchin, who's been around almost as long as I have, I think, haven't you, Craig? Probably getting close, 38 years, I think. He's an award-winning photographer, educator, and author whose work spans everything from storytelling, portraiture, and education at the highest level. Highly respected in the industry, he began in the USA. His works received global recognition for his creativity and technical polish. And his 2016 book, Men and Their Sheds, became a bestseller, helping raise awareness for men's mental health. He holds a BA of photography with honours. It's a Master of 2 with AIPP and an AIPP Honorary Life member. Thanks for joining us, Craig. Harriet Tarbuck, Melbourne-based educator, curator, commercial photographer, photographic artist, and all-round nice lady. She's a co-founder of Photo Collective, and she's done a lot of work within the community, including being a co-host of When Harry Met Sally, which is a photography podcast. She judges many different awards, including the Walkley Awards and the Australian New Zealand Photo Book Awards, and has been a finalist in the Perth Centre for Photography's Iris Awards. She joins us with a passion for community-centred image making and a very thoughtful and collaborative spirit. Thanks for coming along, Harriet. Kay Davis, photographic artist based in New Zealand, working across both analogue and digital methods to create elegant layered imagery. She draws her inspiration from natural forms using colour, texture and light to explore subtle beauties and quiet moments of observation. Kay is an NZIPP Grandmaster Photography and an NZIPP Honorary Fellow, 4 times winner of the NZ Creative Photographer of the Year and a past recipient of the NZ Professional Photographer of the Year. Her experience is vast and she's judged both in Australia and New Zealand many times. She joins us with a deep commitment to originality, storytelling and nurturing photographic growth. Where's that smiley face? Lacey Barrett, a Melbourne-based birth and documentary photographer who has carved out a global reputation for being fearless, raw and unflinchingly honest. And that's just when you're having a cup of tea with her. I thought I'd pause to let that sink in. Her images are intimate, powerful, and driven by a clear purpose to empower and amplify stories. She's an accredited professional birth photography with the IAPBP, an associate of the RPP, and she has had top 3 finishes in the reportage category of the World Photographic Cup. She comes to us and brings to the panel the same grit and conviction that she brings to her work, ready to champion truth, courage, and the power of real stories. We are lucky to have her. And finally, Rachel Smith from New Zealand, the current New Zealand NZIPP National President, is a photographic aerial artist based in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Did I get that right, Kay? Good. Known for her passion for visual storytelling, print and education, with a Master of Fine Arts, a decade of judging experience at regional, national, international levels. And she often is found blending concept and craft and exploring the tension between memory and environment. She's a master with the NZIPP and a master printer, certified printer as well. She brings with her a reputation amongst other judges as someone who's warm, has insightful feedback, particularly for photographers pushing into new creative territory. All of those words come together to let you know, the audience, that we have an incredibly talented group of people that are going to be looking at your images, passing some comments, giving some assessments, and at the end, deciding who gets to win the category phone in the Australian Photographic Prize. So, with that, it's a lot to say, and I'm sorry I mixed a few words up there. It's been an interesting few days. I think it's time for us to have a look at some pictures. We're going to start off with, there are 7 judges that you've obviously just been introduced to. 5 at any one time will be active, but they'll be moving in and out of the active 5 panel, if you like. And those 5 will be asked to pass a score and possibly make comments, and they have the opportunity to challenge at times. So let's start with Boots, Craig, Harriet, Kay, Lacey, and here is the first image in the phone category. Thank you. And this image scores an 81, a silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Everybody's pretty close. As for some transparency, a judge has the opportunity to challenge the score that's been read out if they are 5 or more points away from the read out score, or if they choose to score it in the 90 or above range. But in this case, everybody's reasonably in agreement. We have a silver at 81, and I'm going to ask Harriet Tarbuck to pass a comment. Thanks, Harriet.
First cab off the rank. Yeah, beautiful portrait, beautiful environmental portrait, lovely use of light, just really wrapping around the front of this gentleman's body and face. Really loving the framing with him on the left hand side, and then the crates of beer, which are obviously sort of part of his job role. And yeah, little touches like the even the fluff on the jumper that highlights, and the cigarette in hand. And having come from a hospo background, I can really see the storytelling in this image.
Thank you, Harriet. Next image, please. For the viewers' information, you may notice judges looking down or around to the side. They're not watching the latest football scores or Sex and the City or something like that. They're actually looking at another screen. We encourage our judges to have multiple screens if they can. They use calibrated screens to assess the image, and by having it on a separate screen, they can make sure that it's as large as possible, giving them a chance to assess the image properly. That means they may look away from the Zoom screen, which we are looking at when we hear them speak. And this image scores 83 and is a silver award. So well done. I think Lacey is going to challenge that. Lacey's on 88. Everybody else is in the low 40s. Off you go, Lacey. Tell them what you saw.
Yeah, there's not a lot to look at in this image, but there's also a lot to look at in this image. And the more I look at it, the more I get drawn into this. Initially, whenever I first saw this image, I felt a sense of coolness and alienation. However, this gentleman is in a train station. And so I don't know if it's the timing, it doesn't really matter. But in order to get this many lines all straight, like there's just such a what's the word? I'm losing my words. It takes a lot of skill to be able to line up all of the lines and the textures from the top of the image to the bottom and from the left to the right. And I think this photographer has done a really fantastic job. I think the coloring in this is beautiful. There's the composition of this particularly is really interesting because you've got the yellow on the left, the yellow on the bottom. There's balances. There's not balances. That's not the word I'm looking for. But I would heavily encourage my judges to go back in and have another look at this image and ask yourself how it makes you feel, because I think that's also part of what goes into image making. I'm on 88 and asking to come to silver distinction.
Thank you, Lacey. I think geometric precision is one of the things you were trying to get across as well. Boots.
Yeah, Lacey, I'm glad you challenged this because I'm going in and having a bit longer look around. I just, when it first turned around, my first impression was loneliness. We have this urban environment and we have a space that could typically be very busy at different times of day, but we have this gentleman here all on his own. But having a look around, I noticed the poster on the background of the wall, and we think that there's only one man in this image, but there's a little figure in this poster that's peering in and is connected. I think it's to a hand there, and then we look at the gentleman, and he's got his phone in his hand, so he's also connected to someone else. So yeah, I think I'm going to come up. So thanks, Lacey.
Okay, let's maybe hear from Craig, who was in the middle there at 84. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, look, I've written some notes here, and I think you guys really said it. Lacey, you really said it here, but I think if we define this, and I'm going to be going up myself, is it gives us a great sense of space, time, and scale to the moment for which it's captured. So yeah, I'm rewarding that photographer for that capture of that scale and space.
Thanks, Craig. We'll come back to you, Lacey.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. I think that everyone has seen hopefully what I've seen. So.
Okay. Thank you, Lacey. You hold your score at 88. Everybody else take the chance to think about what you've heard and reassess your score as you see fit. For the benefit of the audience, that means that the judges take on board the new comments and the insights, and they can leave their score where it was, or they can choose to adjust their score based on the new learnings. And according to this panel, they've learned a few things and they feel that this is worth a little bit more than it originally got. And we now have an 87 silver with distinction. Congratulations to the photographer, good judging. And next image, please. This image scores 83 and is a silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. And Amanda, I'm guessing that you might want to have a chat about this, and I think that means you're going to challenge it. I heard that come through in your mind, even if you didn't say it out loud. So off you go, Boots.
Thanks, Tony. I would like to challenge this. This is as soon as this image popped up, I just had such a sense of time and travel. Like there's dimensions. I know we have like a 3D dimension element to this image just looking at it, but there's also we've not captured one moment, we've captured many moments. And so this is a busy environment, but the photographer has given us an image that's quite calm and soothing when you look at it, because we've all been in these places where there's chaos and people going everywhere. But I just love how it's been presented to us with all that action that's happening. It's like we've been able to step away and we just get this calm feeling of time passing. So yeah, I'd like to ask all the judges to have another look and to think about how cleverly this has been done.
Thanks, Boots. Harriet, you're on 81.
This is yeah, thanks for those comments, Brutes. Very thoughtful about the scene here. And yeah, I was getting all those things as well. I think the light in this is actually really beautiful, and the shadows that are forming on the ground are really lovely. And I think that adds to this sense of calm, which is contradictory because it's so busy, this scene. So the photographer's done a great job in balancing those two things and showing us the serenity within this really busy scene. Yeah, great work.
Thanks, Harriet. Craig, you were up there as well. You had an 87.
Yeah, look, I think if you really, and I was right behind you, Boots. When you really look at the definition of the silver with distinction category, it's, you know, the photographer has really highlighted what you can actually do with a phone these days. And you look at this and you see it in a normal camera, but when you look at it a phone, I mean, this is highlighting and demonstrating a strong element of concept. And the photographer, I feel the photographer sitting here and really thought the thought processes behind this shot. And that's why I rewarded it at that 87 level. So it really just elevates that execution.
Thanks, Craig. Let's go back to you, Boots.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I just really think this is deserving of a silver distinction. I actually scored at 88. There's a drawing like pencil etch quality to this, and I think we're looking at a piece of art, and I think it's deserving of a silver distinction.
Okay, so, thank you. You hold. Sorry, Boots, you finished? Yep. We'll hold your score. Everybody else can take on board what they've heard and rescore. And this image scores an 86, silver distinction. Well done, good judging. Let's give Craig and Boots a break, and let's bring in Melanie and Rachel. Thanks, guys. And next image, please. Image scores 84, silver award. We have a challenge from Lacey on 91, and you've got quite a spread there, Lacey, with the 78 and a few mid-80s. So off you go.
Yeah, it took me a very split second, but this is a play on holes. The first image to the left is half, so it's not whole. And then the second image is an orange that is whole. And then the third image is whole-y, like whole, you know, a picture of holes. And it's all of these holes or circles or shapes or elements are all being tied in together that have absolutely nothing to do with each other by a color. So I actually really think that this is a very clever way to piece these images together and to bring that story together. You know, the airplane, you've got the circle shape, and then finally on the right, you have that lifeguard that saving a life, right? So I would just encourage judges to have another look and see, what story you can pull from this, because I think there's a lot of different meanings that you can pull from an image like this.
Thanks, Lacey. Mel, you're on 78.
Yeah, thank you for the words, Lacey. I definitely read I couldn't quite understand the meaning of the first image, but the rest of them flowed in terms of shape and something abstracted. It was just that first panel that I couldn't reason, but your explanation has helped me along there. I definitely feel like there's some great photographic elements in here that are worth rewarding. So I'm listening.
Thanks, Mel. Harriet, you're on 86.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I agree with everything Lacey said. I just wanted to also add that, in a category such as mobile, what a great observation that this person's found walking around and seeing all these different little elements and then grouping them together afterwards. So it kind of really sums up mobile as a form of photography.
Thanks, Harriet. Let's come back to you, Lacey.
Yeah. Look, I'm sitting in gold. I'm in 91. I would encourage our judges to come up to gold. This is a really clever way to display images, group things together by color, shape, and to be able to tell a story so clearly. So thank you.
Thanks, Lacey. You hold your score at 91. Everybody else can rescore. And we have an 88, so with distinction. Awesome work. Okay, let's have another judge change. So Craig, you can come back in, and Harriet, you can have a break. Thank you. Next image, please. This is the phone category at the Australian Photographic Prize. And this image scores 82, silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Everybody pretty close to that and around the same point. There's possibly a few things that can be done to improve this. Let's ask Craig Wetchen for a couple of comments. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, look, I think it sits really perfectly where it's scored, and I've really rewarded this photographer really seeing the elements of the old versus the new, and I can really see that play and that portray of that. I think if you had those little tools, you probably could have even darkened down the older building to allow that how the older building is sort of being drawn down away from the newer buildings. But yeah, certainly well seen.
Thanks, mate. That's excellent. Boots, let's get you back in. And Kay, you can step out for a little bit. So we'll keep you moving around so everybody is staying on the ball. Next image, please. This image scores a 79 by majority. Scores averaged 80. 3 judges were under 80, so it goes to a 79 by majority. Boots, I'm guessing that you want to challenge that. You're on 86. Off you go.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I just think the sense of timing in this image, that they've got these ladies who are hard at work, that it's just been so perfectly captured. We have a lovely triangle coming from the bucket and the stools that draw our eye across, and then back and to these ladies disappearing between the building. We know where we are, we know what's happening, and I think it's a strong image that gives us a sense of place, and I think it's deserving of a I scored it silver distinction on 86, but yeah, I think it's at least deserving of a silver. So encourage the other judges to come back in.
Okay, Mel, you're on 77.
Yeah, I absolutely hear everything you're saying, Boots. I really enjoyed the way this image has a sense of flow and the juxtaposition. I definitely feel like I was a bit shy down on 77. I am listening. I am willing to come up. I just find that perhaps the image needs a little bit more shadow detail, especially in the foreground, to separate the ladies from the building and the construction in front. But other than that, I really applaud the photographer for producing such an interesting image.
Okay, Craig, you had something to add?
Yeah, look, I just I'm just really struggling to find a bit of depth perception to the shot, and I feel there's a competition too much with the chairs in the foreground, which I think are part of the elements. But I wanted those ladies to stand out a little bit more. It just seemed a bit flat as well.
Okay, Rachel, you gave this an 83, so you felt it was a worthy.
Yeah, I thought that the way that the buckets and the chairs lead us in the opposite direction into the frame than we would naturally flow through, and everyone's talked about the flow and how pleasing that is, and so just the cleverness of leading us in the opposite direction is what we would usually take, helped me push it into the silver range, and I don't really have any problem with the women or the subjects blending into the backgrounds. What I find quite intriguing are all of the different textures and the patterns on their clothing, the patterns of the soil in the mound in front of them, and the patterns and textures on the wall. I actually find that my eye is spending a lot of time in there.
Thanks, Rachel. Boots, back to you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I think this is a gritty image. It's a gritty workplace. These women are not, posing, and it's not it's been seen, it's been well timed, and I think it's deserving of a high score.
Thanks, Boots. You hold your score at 86, and everybody else gets the chance to rescore. This image now scores a silver with an 82. Well done, judges. Lacey, you take a little step back. Harriet, you can come back in. Thank you very much. Next image, please. This image scores a silver award at 82. Rachel's going to challenge that. She's on 87. With a couple, you got someone else up there with you, and the rest are in the a little bit further down. Go for it.
Yeah, so 87. Initial impact was the way that the orange is tying the people and the luggage and the background into that middle part of the frame, just really holding the eye there. And once I spent a bit more time with it, I really enjoyed the irony of the fact that the only people engaging with the outside environment were in the poster, because everyone else was just so done with whatever life had thrown at them that they're just living on their screen. And it looks like they're a family that's traveling. So usually when you're in a new place like that, it's all about what you can see and do and experience, yet they're just so absorbed with whatever devices are in their hands. And I thought that communicated really nicely through the image, which is why I put it into silver distinction.
Thanks, Rachel. Let's go to Harriet.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I'm really glad that you pointed that out. I was on a 78 here, and I was just trying to find the connection between the poster and the outside world. I could see the beautiful lines and even like the bodies on either side of the frame. It's all really well composed, but I was just trying to get a connection between that poster and the people within the frame, and I couldn't quite find it, which, when we're looking at work really quickly, sometimes it takes a minute. So that's why we're all here to share. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I think I'll be coming up into the silver range because I can really see that kind of connection now that you've brought forward. So thanks.
Thanks, Harriet. Well, Craig might be able to help. Craig?
Look, this is really it is you talked to Harry about the connection and the connection with the people in the poster, and that's who's connected with us. And it's really highlighting the disconnect that society has with the rest of the world. And yet you get advertising that's trying to connect with us in so many different levels, but yet we're totally disconnected from reality. And I think it's very, very well seen. The play of colors, you couldn't orchestrate this, and it's just so orchestrated so well, and so well seen. I'll put it right up there at the, solid silver distinction. And that's where I'm really seeing that play right there. So yeah, relook at this, folks.
All right, let's go back to you, Rachel.
That's great. Thanks, everybody. So I think the irony of the subjects on the phone is also coming through quite strongly now that I remember that we're actually judging the phone category as well. So the person that's taking this image was also absorbed with their phone, and as Craig was saying, we're not engaging with the world around us. And yeah, I think it's incredibly cleverly constructed. So yeah, silver distinction if you can.
Okay, Rachel, you're on 87. You hold your score. Everybody else can rescore, taking into account what they've just heard. Thanks. And we have an 86 silver with distinction. Well done, everybody. Let's have another quick judge change. Craig, you're going to step back, and Kay, you're going to come back in. And let's have the next image, please. Image scores 83 and is a silver award. I'm guessing, Harriet, that you might want to have a chat about this one at 88.
I'll give it a challenge. I'm sorry, my maths is a bit slow. Such a beautiful image. Just it feels like a painting, and for something that, only a few years ago, a mobile device to capture something that's so artistic and so well composed and so put together is just incredible. And the options that are available to us to capture imagery in our pockets is just wonderful. The sand that's kind of, you can just see in the foreground, the wave structure, the ones that are breaking already, the ones that are still fully formed but coming over, the spray coming up at the back, the mirroring of the night sky, the sunset sky with the sand at the bottom just frames the image beautifully. And this texture that runs all the way through it. Is it a painting? Is it a composite image with a DSLR, or is it just a mobile photo? That it's just incredible. So yeah, I encourage you to look at it and spend some time with it and get that beautiful warmth feeling that this mobile image has captured.
Thanks, Harriet. Let's hear from Rachel, 78.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything that Harriet has said. And before looking closely into it, would have gone quite quickly up there. But when I do look closer, I am seeing that the image is actually breaking down in a lot of the and a lot of the tonal range and detail, especially in the sort of golden tones in the top. And so that's what kept me from going any higher, but I'm happy to listen and maybe change my.
Thanks, Rachel. Mel, you're on 86.
Yeah, not far away from you, Harriet. I really enjoyed the textural nature of this image, the way I feel like I could hear this ocean roaring in the back of my ears as if I'm standing there. I just found it to be really delicate and well handled. I hear what you're saying, Rachel, about those quality issues, but I don't think it affects the overall effect. And I was definitely up there in the silver distinction range. So, yeah.
Okay, let's go back to you, Harriet.
Yeah, I mean, look, I did see that. For me, I am not concerned about it. I think if the image was very clear and crisp and then it was breaking up in parts, that would break me out of the image. I feel like it kind of, that breakup, it fits with the aesthetic of the rest of this texture that's happening. I mean, this has been taken with a mobile phone. There are limitations to mobile phones still. If it, again, with a DSLR or beautiful lenses, then perhaps it would be less forgiving of that. But I feel like it doesn't break me out of the image. If I go in and I want to penalize, then maybe. But for this, I don't see that it's taking away from the image. I just see that beautiful spray and that surf and the emotion I feel when I'm there. I feel like it's really captures what it's like to see a sunset.
Thanks, Harriet. You hold your score at 88. Everybody else can rescore. And we have an 85, so silver with distinction. Congratulations to the phonographer. Haha. Next image, please. This image scores an 82, silver award. Congratulations to the photographer, and all the judges were within 1 point of that score. Mel Sinclair, you'd like to say something about this picture? Thanks.
Absolutely. I'd like to say congrats to the photographer. This image is beautiful and liminal. I really enjoy the tones that have been well handled, and the composition is just really interesting. Perhaps to improve, if this is something you're looking at, maybe a human figure or something like that, just to create some drama and energy.
Thanks, Mel. Next image, please. Image scores 83, a silver award. Everybody's sort of in that upper 70 to mid low 80s. Let's get a comment from Boots. Again, this is a silver, so well done. Boots, comment for the photographer.
Yeah, congratulations to the photographer. What a great storytelling is going on in this image. And I particularly enjoyed the older boy here on the seat. He's obviously been left in charge of these his younger perhaps siblings, and he has management on his shirt, which gave me a bit of a chuckle. But yeah, just great sight in seeing this this come together of these very different cultures, and this moment that's happening with this lady who's taken a seat next to them to perhaps get a rock out of her shoe. But yeah, well seen. Congratulations.
Thanks, Boots. Let's give Harriet a step back and bring Craig back in. Next image, please. Image scores a silver with distinction. Everybody's reasonably agreeing to that, all in the mid-80s. I'm not sure why I'm doing this, but I'm going to call a challenge on this one. Given that you're all in that 80s range, I just want to give everyone a chance to have a chat about this. It's an interesting picture, and maybe help the viewers understand why it's worth that. So rather than just one of you comment, you can all make a comment, or 3 or 4 of you can make a comment if you can see something, some strengths that you could share, and then we'll get a chance to rescore. If you choose to change your score, that's entirely up to you. I'm going to start with Rachel. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, I scored this 86. The things that I'm really enjoying about this image are the contrast, but also the beautiful lines of light hitting the cat, which actually make all of those lines in its forehead really, really stand out, and the difference between the straight lines and those sort of wrinkly lines, and the graphic nature of an image that has a living creature in it as well. And so yeah, I found it really nicely captured and well presented.
Kate?
Yeah, a really lovely image. I guess what struck me was I really enjoyed the cat's almost got an evil eye looking at me, in terms of being disturbed, enjoying the sun coming in from the Venetian blinds, which I'm assuming are Venetian blinds, and is being disturbed by the photographer, and sort of, so yeah, you know how cats love just lying in the heat and the sun. So that's sort of what the warmth I'm feeling from the image. So lovely image.
Mel?
Yeah, this is a hairless cat, so it doesn't have any hair to keep it warm. So the fact that it was sitting in the rays of light with such a stubborn look on its face is what absolutely grabbed me, because there was that connection with the subject straight through, you know, to the capture. And it's just that defiance and stubbornness that I was feeling, and I gave it an 86, and I found it just so fabulous for that reason.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add? Otherwise, we can go to a rescore. Yeah, Harry, you had something to say? Oh, no, sorry. Okay, so guys, we've had a good, nice little chat. You can leave your scores with or you can change them if you've heard something that changes the way you think. And again, for the benefit of the audience, sometimes it's just a case of hearing a bit more information can help judges reassess. And we have a silver with distinction at 87. That's great. And some nice information. Yeah, there's a couple of little things that I was glad to see come out. The hairless cat with the sun and a few things like that, and the wrinkles. It was quite good to hear. Okay, let's just have a quick judge change. Kay, you're going to step back, and Lacey, you come back in, please. And next image, please. Image scores 87, silver with distinction. Yeah, well done. And we have a challenge from Rachel, who's on 92, and you got some pretty high 80s there to work with. Thanks. Off you go.
took me a while to figure out just how high I was going to go on this, and I feel like the subject, everything is falling apart. The lights are falling off. The emotion that has been portrayed by the posture, the nudity makes me think of the sort of umbilical nature of the cord that is connected to the old TV or whatever that device is. I just felt like there was a sort of dissolution and despair to this image, and I really connected with it, and put them to gold. It'll be interesting to see what people say.
Thanks, Rachel. Boots at the lower end.
Yeah, I was really drawn to the storytelling side of this image. I found it a little distracting. I keep getting drawn to the upside down picture on the back wall, and I think the focus is actually sharper on the back wall than it is on the subject, which is why I didn't go quite as high. But yeah, I'm listening.
All right. Well, there was a couple of other people up pretty high. So, Lacey, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I think that I have been given what I was missing from this image. This this sort of looks like to be a set, perhaps. You've got all of the gaffer, the lighting up at the top, and I think that there's obviously a lot going on in this image. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony. Sorry.
Thanks, Lacey. That's okay. Mel.
Yeah, there's a wonderful comfort here, and it's comfort among the chaos for me. There's I should say I scored this in 87, and I just found it so exciting because everything's falling apart, yet he's sound asleep, and he's clearly just cool with it. So I was definitely coy at 87. I'll be coming up.
Mr. Wetcham. Great.
Yeah, look, this is why we do what we do. Let's portray a story at that we could possibly be in this photographer's head. Christmas, we all get inundated by advertising and the boredom sometimes that we get through the level of advertising. The world's coming apart around us a lot of times, but yet we still try to hold true to this story of being inundated by Christmas advertising. The world's coming upside down. It's falling apart around us, but yet the media and everything is glued to the boob tube. So that's really where, these are the words I've written down on my notes about this image. So that's why I think you guys really need to have another really long, hard look at this. I'm going from 88 up to gold.
Okay, back to you, Rachel.
I think it's all been said really well by everyone else there, and I look forward to seeing maybe this could even go as far as gold distinction. I can't move my score, but see what everyone else can.
Okay, you hold your score at 92. Everybody else can rescore. Thanks, judges. You have a 92 gold award. Well done. Good judging. Great comments, guys and girls. Okay, Boots, you can step back and let's bring Harriet back in, please. And let's have the next image. Image scores an 81, silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. And if I could have a comment, please, from Harriet. Oh, yes. Lacey wants to say something. Hold on, Harriet. Okay. Lacey, what have you got to say?
Oh, that's okay. If Harriet wants to speak, that's fine too. I was just going to quickly say that this is such a really sweet moment captured. And to elevate this, just giving it a little bit of a tilt to the left to kind of level out that horizon, it kind of feels like Spider-Man might kind of slide off of that. But such a beautiful and well captured moment.
Didn't you know spiders can hang on when things slide?
That is true. He is stuck there forever.
Harriet, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, just a beautiful moment, and just that absolute, the iconic kind of web spray pose that the boy's doing is beautiful. The colors are a little bit magenta-y on the skin tones of the boy, and potentially the blues in the skies are a little bit poppy, but so maybe just working on the color, but the story's all there. It's lovely.
Thanks, Harriet. Craig, did you have something to add quickly?
Look, just cropping. I think just a little less sky could bring us into the intimate moment that's happening in there. Just take us in just a little bit further, a little bit closer to him.
Thanks, Craig. Great comments, everybody. Next image, please. Image score 79, highly commended. Again, everybody reasonably close to that. Let's have a word perhaps from Mel as to something that could be done to elevate this image. Thanks, Mel.
Yeah, I enjoy the found moment, and congrats to the photographer for capturing such a great eye contact with the subject. I just found the vignette around the image to be a little intense, and perhaps some of the shadows have been recovered a little bit too much. So just keep an eye on those, and you'll create a more striking image in future.
Thanks, Mel. Rachel, you can step back and let's bring Kay back in. And next image, please. Image scores 79, highly commended. Everyone's sort of around that pace. Just the reason I'm laughing for the audience's benefit, if the judges feel they've got a comment that could help the photographer, they put their hands up, and I've got 3 hands went up almost instantaneously. Harriet, you were the first one in. What have you got to help with the photographer with?
Yeah, it's a very great fan moment and a really lovely observation of seeing that reflection in the window. The color tone is just a little bit intense. That terracotta is beautiful, but you could bring the saturation down just a bit and just let it breathe and let us really be drawn into that reflection rather than distracting us with a lot of color. But yeah, great fan moment.
Thank you. And Mel, you had something to add?
Yeah, I'd just like to, sorry, it's already been said.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep. Sorry.
No worries. Awesome. Okay, next image, please. This image scores 79. Are we happy with that? We're happy with that. Okay. 79. No, actually, Kay, go for it. I'm going to make you challenge it.
You're going to make me
84.
challenge? Okay.
Well, it's 1 point below, and everybody's sitting
Yeah,
sort of
true.
just below. Let's have a chat about it and find out if it deserves a 79 or if it deserves anything else.
pretty much a macro image using a phone, I think is pretty amazing. I know there's little tools that you can add to your phone and things like that. And I also I've gone in the silver range. It could do with a little bit of cropping, I feel, just in terms of getting rid of a couple of distracting elements. But I think this has been a well seen and just crafted image. So the level of detail that we're seeing in the fly is just quite phenomenal.
Thanks, Kay. I'm going to pick on somebody who's down low, Mel, 676.
Yeah, I found the image to be really interesting, engaging. I enjoy the way that the bug is so beautifully in focus. What I was distracted by was the little addition of white on the side, that little like leaf pit. I just feel like maybe it could have been cropped a bit tighter to give me more sense of the domination of the bug rather than the background.
Okay, and get one for Craig.
Yeah, I think cropping probably would have done me, would have lifted up a little bit higher. And yeah, that white is quite distracting. So crop that in, crop it in a little tighter, really lets that fly fly.
Back to you, Kay.
Yeah, thank you, judges. I mean, I do agree that the cropping, the little spot at the top left-hand corner could have easily been cropped out. But I think that white part, this is a phone category. It's spontaneous. The photographer has captured this bug, whichever it is, whatever it is. And I don't think there's always the opportunity to actually take away those distracting elements. So to me, that it actually has been well handled. The detail that's in the bug is just phenomenal. Yes, distracting element, but that's there, that's part of it, and it's captured on a phone, for goodness sake. So yeah, I'd like to see it in the silver range.
I can't help myself. I have to add a little comment that the detail of the hands holding the little piece of greenery, that's you can see the place in the plant where that greenery has been chomped out or taken out just to the right hand side of our right hand side. It's just a great little documentary as well. Okay, Kay, you're going to hold your score at 84. Everybody else rescore as they see fit. We have an 80 silver award. Told you it was worth challenging, Kay. Let's, Mel, you can step back and we'll bring Boots back in. Thanks, Mel. And let's have the next image, please. Image scores 82, silver award. Judges all in that consistent area. And Kay, you've got a comment for us. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely, really lovely image, really striking. And I think the sense of scales is just so well presented with the little figure at the bottom. I guess for me, it's a little bit over high key in terms of bringing down some of the bringing some contrast into it. But I think it's a really strong image.
Thank you, Kay. Let's have another little judge change. Rachel, you can come back in, and Harriet, you can step back out again. Thank you. And next image, please. This image scores 84 and is a silver award. We have a challenge from Kay Davis on 91.
Yep.
I read your mind. Yep, off you go, Kay.
Yeah, hi. This is phone category, spontaneity. There's so many different elements in this image that I mean, you wonder why this guy is there. Is he there? Is this where he lives? Is this a staged scenario? I'm picking it as real. This guy's got a fascination or a love of all these beautiful old Hollywood movie stars and things like that. There's one aside from Gilligan, who's also being sort of, I guess, canoodled with by women. There's this Santa Claus thing that's in this crazy old box sitting behind him, a whole lot of old paintings, and we've got the other man that he's pretending, thinking he can associate himself as being Elvis, the only other male figure in the scene. Surrounded by rubbish and just there's so many questions that are coming into my mind, and I think the framing of the image where you can sort of almost look behind through the cracks in the timber and see maybe some desolate sort of shacks that are around. So there's a lot of storytelling in this image, and I think it's very, very cleverly done. I'd like to see this come up into the gold range, if not silver distinction.
Thanks, Kay. Let's have a word from Lacey.
Yeah, I missed that connection that the only other male figure in this image was Elvis. So thanks for that, Kay. That was really great to bring that concept together for me. I think what was holding me back from coming up that little bit more is I would love to see this just that little bit higher. It's shot almost at eye level, and it gives us a really good sight of everything that's on the back wall. However, I still think that there's a lot of story that's being hidden in the things surrounding him. What are the bags? What are the plastic? Yes, it appears to be rubbish, but I would like to see just that little bit more to fully bring me into this image, because I feel like I'm just still on the outside of what all of this gentleman has to offer me.
Okay, Mr. Wetchen, Craig, you're up at 88.
Yeah, look, I'm coming along with you, Kay, on this. With the let me just help you out a little bit with the camera point of view. But before I do that, one man's treasure is another man's, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And he's surrounded by his treasures. He's surrounded by his things that he loves, whether it's the garbage or the historical figures and movie characters such as Elvis, etc. But the point of view, I love the fact that he's right on the same plane as the photographer, and the others show dominance. So when you take that point of view with a little bit lower point of view, the person who's looking down at you takes the dominance. But yet I think it's clever that the photographer is taking the same point of view as him, but he's showing that level of dominance of the characters behind him. So, which are the dominating factors of what this man loves. So I think that it's definitely worth a rescore.
Okay, back to you, Kay.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. That was really insightful. I really just addressing that point of view again too. I think there's an expression on his face where he's actually incredibly proud. I mean, we can feel sorry for someone if that might be living in a situation like this, but he's not sorry for himself. He seems really, really proud, and to me, that's also a very incredibly emotive aspect of the image. Yeah, this little shack, this is where he lives. This is his pride and joy, whether it be the pictures from decades prior or whether it's the rubbish that's been collected, like all the Coke cans underneath the sofa. He's just proud of who he is and where he is in life. So yeah, I think that it's incredibly powerful image. I'd love to see it go to gold.
Thanks, Kay. You hold your score at 91, and you're asking everybody to raise their scores. Let's see how they feel about what was said. Well, we have a 90. Gold award. Congratulations and good judging. Let's have the next image, please. Image scores 81, all judges within 1 point of each other, which is fantastic. Congratulations to the photographer, and a quick comment, if I may, from Kay. Thanks, Kay.
Yeah, beautiful image, and the tonal qualities in there have been really well captured. I guess for me, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more foreground. I feel that flow of water's been cut off a little bit, so I would have liked to see more in the image.
Thanks, Kay. Harriet, we're going to bring you back in. Craig, I'm going to get you to step back. And let's have the next image, please. Image scores 82, silver award. Challenge from Lacey on 88. Thanks, Lacey.
Yeah, the coloring of this, I think, is absolutely beautiful. This has been done very intentionally, and it's on the cooler side. It's winter, also leaning towards the cooler side. But this also looks like coral, which would be underwater, which underwater blue. So we've got this blue color that's really coming in everywhere. And the shape of these trees and bushes just looking like coral, it's just such an overpowering feeling that something underwater could be displayed on top of water. That wasn't very poetically phrased, but I just would really want to encourage my judges to come back and have a look at this and come up into that silver distinction range. I think this has been a really well captured image.
Thanks, Lacey. Harriet.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Lacey. I was kind of looking at this thinking, what does it remind me of? And you're absolutely right. It reminds me of coral and that lovely kind of blend between above water and below water and how everything's connected. And I think the color tone, the way it's been held is really great. Even these kind of like browny elements right in the front of the frame are really beautiful as well. I am quite distracted by the cars on the left, on the right-hand side. I don't mind the wall there. I think kind of that man-made element is not the distraction, but the cars I feel are really taking me out of this really dreamy, beautiful kind of feel that the rest of the image holds. So I'd love to be convinced that they don't matter.
Okay, thanks, Harriet. Kay.
Yeah, just a quick thing. I think for me, as you were talking, Lacey, I actually feel that the person has actually seen this tree but didn't want to take it from the angle from the car park, essentially. And maybe the cars are important in the image. I found them distracting to start with as well. But maybe they're important because I think this person's actually climbed over this brick wall to actually stand in the position they have to capture the image. I think there are some distracting elements in the sky area that could be fixed. Some sensor spots, things like that. But I think, yeah, very striking image, and I love your connection with the coral and feeling almost like you're underwater. Thank you.
Thanks, Kay. Lacey, back to you.
Yeah, just to address that, the car, I think if this photographer had taken it from that angle, you would lose everything that's behind it because we're going downhill. So you wouldn't get the wideness of this shot and the tree and the bush below it. You would just get the front of that tree and you would miss everything else because it's below it. So I think that this was actually a really wise choice because you also get the smaller tree that's just in between the big one and the car. If you're following along, there's a lot of trees in this image. But I actually think that it was a really wise decision. And initially, at first, I was also slightly distracted by the car, but then I found balance in the darkness of the car, in the darkness of that bottom left um, bush tree that's there, the top of that. There's some heavier blacks in that. And I think that that was done intentionally to match the darkness of those cars. Um, and so I just think that this has been a really well seen and well captured image. It's been handled very well. And I would really love to see this come up into that silver distinction range.
Thank you, Lacey. You hold your score at 88. Judges rescore, please. Image scores are silver, 84. Thank you, judges. Lacey, you're going to take a little break, and Mel, you come back in, please. Next image, please. Image scores 83, silver award. I've got a feeling Harriet's not happy with that, so she wants to have a chat to everybody. Harriet, you've got 92 all the way down to 78. Over to you.
Yeah, big range for this one. I'm really, yeah, this is really powerful to me. It's a really interesting image. I believe the photographer is doing something really conceptual and doing something really artistic, which again, with a mobile and creating this in a mobile photography way is really, really impressive. I'm trying to read what the story is and I'm kind of coming up with ideas myself, and I keep kind of coming back and swaying on different kind of concepts and ideas, which again is intriguing me, making it interesting. I'm wondering, like, you know, the land before, the land after, the connection to country. There's kind of like buildings and houses behind and nothing within the canvas that's been brought in. And the greenery in the canvas that's been brought in and the lushness, and then the kind of dryness that's kind of starting to appear around it. There's power lines coming through, and even the scratches on the canvas that are kind of show the age that perhaps the original image has been taken. Yeah, there's lots of things that I've got going on in my head, and I just think bringing something so conceptual and that feels bigger than just a snap of an image, that feels really intentional, and bringing that to this category is really, really exciting. And I'd love to hear from the rest of the judges.
Thanks, Harriet. Let's hear from Rachel.
Yeah, I'm at the other end of the scale on 78, and I'm really interested in what everyone has to say, because maybe I have underscored this. I do think that there is intention here, and I guess for me, what held me back from going higher was, if there is that intention, it wouldn't have taken an awful lot to change the angle that this was shot at, so that the hillside behind the billboard melded into the top part of the hillside on the left of the billboard, because the grasses do quite beautifully do that on the other side. And so that made me question if it was intentional or just happy chance. So I'm absolutely listening and happy to come up. Yeah.
Okay, Kay, you're at 86 in the sort of higher.
Yeah. I find this a really powerful image. I'm not 100% sure of what the story is either. I do feel it's about change, it's about progress, but is it progress versus how is that good or bad progress? I don't mind the angles that have captured. Initially, when I saw this image, I did, like you, Rachel, I did find that the misalignment of the different levels in the landscapes challenging to sort of come to some conclusion as to why it's not lined up. But I do wonder whether the edge of the grass along that sort of not the horizon line, but is actually what's being lined up. And I actually don't mind the mismatch because it is about change. It is about what was and what is now. And the tears, the aging of the canvas, the scratches and everything like that, they all play a part in telling that story around what is. So I'm really enjoying the story. I'm in the silver distinction, and I'd like to see it at least silver's distinction. I'm still listening to maybe if someone's got some other comments they can make about bringing more strength to this narrative of it.
I'll go back to Harriet, but just before I do, I'm going to throw in the idea that I see a reference to Gladiator and the warrior fighting. This is the final scene out of Gladiator. Over to you, Harriet.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and Tony as well for your comments. Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of all said it, so I'm not going to go over again, and I'm certainly not going to talk about what I think could enhance it, because I think it is just a really beautiful image, and I really like the way as well that the canvas is kind of different color tones to the rest of the image as well, really standing it out from what's happening, and again, just really doubling down on that change that's occurring within this environment. I think that this is probably a bigger project and a bigger concept, and I think we should really celebrate this photographer and give them encouragement to continue on. So encourage you to look again and maybe let's help get it up. If not into gold, which I think it should be, into silver distinction.
Thanks, Harriet. You'll hold your score at 92. Judges, you can take on board the comments you've heard and rescore. Image scores an 87, silver distinction. Congratulations to the photographer. Let's have the next image, please. Actually, I was going to change a judge, so I'm going to get Craig, you to come back in, and Booch, you can step out of this one, and I will leave it at that. That'll do. Image scores 80, silver award. Everybody pretty consistent. Let's have a quick comment from Kay. Thanks, Kay.
Yeah, a really lovely image. The tones work really beautifully. The timing of the capture has been well done. I guess what tipped me into a slightly higher score or into the silver range was I enjoyed the contrast between, I guess, what is very, very traditional and an old location, and then you've got the graffiti on the wall. Yeah, nothing I can add to improve it. I think it's been well seen.
Thank you, Kay. Great sense of timing. The next image, please. Image score 78. Highly commended. Are we okay with that, guys? We're all good? Okay, let's have a comment if we can from Mel. Thanks.
Yeah, well seen image. Really enjoy the way that people are walking through, creating a sense of scale for the buildings. Just have a look at the vignetting and some of the colors in the sky. There's a little bit of a green purple presenting in certain parts of the highlight areas.
Okay, thanks, Mel. Let's have another judge change. Kay, you can step back, and let's bring Lacey back. Thanks, Lacey. And we might get Rachel to step back and bring Boots back as well. And next image, please. Image scores 83 with scores all over the shop. Everywhere. So we've got a pretty big range happening here. So I think what we'll do is I'm going to call an auto challenge on this one, or a panel challenge. Everybody can speak and everybody can rescore because the scores are quite diverse. So that means everyone gets a chance to speak. Lacey, I'm going to get you to speak first, but you won't get a right of reply, but you will get the chance to rescore. All right, off you go.
Thanks, Tony. Immediately, I was really drawn into this. There is so much going on in such a very simple, I dare say, image. First, you have the lighter whites that's closer to the foreground, and it almost looks like the veins of an egg, like of an eggshell. You see those veins in when a chicken would hatch, but then the coloring of it reminds me of like a bone china, and it adds such a really beautiful texture to this. And the further down you go towards the light at the end of a tunnel, which is the other part that I saw of this, there's this small slight shifts in gradient. You go from the lighter in the foreground and then it gets a little bit darker, and then you get to the end where you have this almost like a hair light that's coming. I actually don't know what this is. It's very abstract, but it was very striking. It could actually be a ball at the end, or it could be a hole. I'm not really sure. But everything about it, the organic shapes within a circle, within more organic shapes, within more organic shapes. It feels like the gift that keeps on giving. So I'm in gold. I think we should all be there too.
Thanks, Lacey. Craig, you're at 76.
Yeah, look, I'm just really struggling to get past, that this photo is setting a benchmark for, high level of photographic experience. I've given it, clear intent, and, well executed, but look, the phone photos, we know phone photos aren't going to be the sharpest tool, sharpest photograph in the shed, no pun intended there, but it's just falling apart. Just any sense of resolve in the communication of the photograph. So I just couldn't get past that. So that's where I put it at the 76.
Hey, does anyone else have anything to add? Let's maybe just quickly from you, Harriet.
Yeah, I'm a 78 here, and I think it's a highly commended, a highly competent, well executed work with sound technique. It's really interesting, and I the eggshell effect. I'm hearing you, Lacey. I'm agreeing with Craig. It is just falling apart a little too much for me. It's very ambiguous. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm looking like at a fisher's eyeball or if I'm looking at a staircase. And it's sort of, because it's kind of falling apart a little bit in the technical aspects. And then those shadows at the bottom, the sort of lines going in, they're sort of distracting me a little bit as well. So it's a really it's an interesting image, and I gave it highly commended and up at the higher end of that. But yeah, those technical aspects, I'm agreeing with Craig. They're just holding me back.
Thank you, Harriet. Mel, you had something to add?
Yeah, I feel like I'm looking at a multiple exposure of a light fitting or something like that. And because of the nature of that, it's casting out all these different lights. I sought to reward it an 84 for the way it transformed into something animalistic from what it clearly felt like a piece of architecture to me. So
Thank you. All right, back to you, Lacey.
Yeah, I think we're only just now moving into the phone genre. We've come a really long way from our Razor phones back in the 2000s and those pictures that we've been taking. And I would really love to see this photographer rewarded for their eye, for even being able to see this and in this moment. And I think that we still have a long way to go before we get into more higher quality phone images. And yeah, I would love to see this image be regarded as for what it is.
Okay, thanks, Lacey. You hold your score at 92. Judges, you can rescore after taking on board what you've heard. Image scores 82, silver award. Well done to the photographer. And let's get another change. Craig, you can step back and let's bring in Rachel. Thanks, Rachel. And next image, please. Thank you, judges. This image scores 83, silver award.
I challenge it.
You can, and Harriet's challenging at 88. Off you go. Everyone's in the 80s. You're at the highest end.
Okay. Yeah, I'm challenging because I can, and I think that's a good thing to do. So I realize we're all in the 80s, and it's got a silver here. I think it deserves a little bit more. It's just a beautiful textural image. There's a lot of detail there for such a wide landscape image taken on a phone. There's a lot of detail that's still in here. We can see rain clouds and weather in the background. That tree on the right-hand side that's sort of fallen over is stunning. The colors throughout this whole image are really beautiful. There's highlights popping throughout the whole thing with beautiful shadows. Yeah, really, even these like little trees right at the bottom of the frame, which in some cases might distract me. I feel like that gives it a sort of a vignette with the clouds that are at the top. That little tiny tree sticking up on the horizon and on the sort of middle left. Lots to look at in this image. Lots to cast your eye around. I think it deserves a silver distinction. So I'd love to hear from the judges and see if we can bring it up a bit.
Thanks, Harriet. Rachel?
Yeah, I was at the lower end of the spectrum, an 80. I've rewarded this with the silver because I'm really enjoying the Jurassic sort of portrayal or feel to the way this image is being presented. And I find that for a landscape, the portrait orientation is also working very well. What prevented me from going higher was I feel like the sky has been quite heavily processed, and that it's actually falling apart a bit as a result of that. And so that's kind of why I've sat just in the silver range, but I'm happy to listen.
Okay, Lacey, you had something to add?
Yeah, I think I'm jumping on Harriet's train. I think that I underscored this, and it was for the same exact reason that Rachel mentioned. The sky felt very overprocessed, but the more I look at this, it actually looks like it's raining. So you've got the lightness behind it, and then in the foreground, that dark sky that feels overprocessed, which it might be slightly overprocessed, but I think that's been done intentionally to bring the detail out of that. It looks like there's actually a small torrential rain that's happening there just to the left of where the tree is broken. And that has just added so much more context and feel to this image for me.
Thanks, Lacey. Harriet, back to you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a weather front coming in there, Lacey. I see that as rain. And yes, look, the processing is rather, I can see the processing, which is a, that's something that I won't dwell on. But I do feel like it's very consistent across the whole image, and there's intentionality there. I'm just zoomed into that bush right at the front of the frame as well, and there's so much sort of texture and detail within that. Again, considering this is such a wide landscape image of taken on a phone, yeah, I encourage you to just like maybe pop a few more marks on. Let's get it up a little bit higher, guys.
Thanks, Harriet. You hold your score at 88. Everyone else can rescore. Image scores 84, silver award. Well done. Congratulations. Harriet, we'll just go for another image. Next image, please. Image scores 86, so with distinction. Everybody's pretty much in the same space. Good to see. Let's have a quick comment, if we can, from Harriet, who was bang on 86. Thanks, Harriet.
Yeah, beautiful image, and just obviously taken underwater with a phone, and just, really, really amazing what we can do these days. Obviously, there's a bit of movement in that, but I think it sort of adds to the playful nature of the seal. You can really see the character of the seal coming through, and this kind of like, it's like an underwater dog almost, it's kind of saying throw the rope. Lots of detail and texture in the surrounding area, and I don't feel it distracts too much from the seal itself. Yeah, really great job.
Thanks, guys. We might move on to the next image, but before we do, Harriet, I'm going to give you a break. Let's bring back Craig Wetchen, please. And Rachel, you can step back, and we'll bring back Harriet. Kay, sorry. And next image, please. Image scores 86, silver with distinction. And again, everybody very close. Yes. Loud round of applause. And let's have a quick comment from Kay. Thanks, Kay.
Yeah, what an amazing image. Just so well captured. I can really feel this cat soaking up the warmth of the sun. And what's also really, really been well handled is the fact that you've got these curtains which are almost emulating the rays, the sort of the heat of the sun waves, but also the wrinkles that you can also see tying it into the cat. Just beautifully seen, and yeah, great image.
Okay, let's have the next image, please. Yep. Image scores 84, silver award. Got a feeling we won't stay there. I thought you might jump in. So Mel, yes, you are the highest at 93. You got a 91 and a couple of mid to low 80s. Off you go.
Fantastic. Oh, this is fantastic. For a phone photo, this is incredible. Just for all of the incredible light that's captured here, the bokeh, the focus on the subject is amazing, and it's almost captured a sense of soul about this sea creature. The way the colors blend together, the movement, what's not to love? This has got dynamism and energy, and I really encourage my fellow judges to have another look and just get caught up in the fairy tale of this moment of just the gorgeous capture.
Thanks, Mel. Boots on 81.
Yeah, thanks, Mel, for challenging us. I was probably a little bit harsh in the low silver. I am having another look around, enjoying the rainbow captured in the front of that jellyfish, if that's what it is, and that tiny little fish at the bottom. Yeah, I guess at the start I found the background a little bit unclear, but I don't think, looking back, that we need that. So yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, I'm going to go to Kay, who's also in the gold range. Kay.
Yeah, I find this a really fantastic image. The sharpness in those fish on top of the jellyfish, and just the tentacles are amazing. What really I guess drew my attention, and Boots did actually mention it, was that little fish at the bottom. The googly eyes of that fish is really directed at the photographer, so the timing there is brilliant. And I really enjoy the prismatic rainbow effects that are happening through all the elements in the background, created through the light that's coming down, and the lighting is just sublime. The jellyfish is just so beautifully separated from the background. It's been incredibly well captured and seen.
Thank you, Kay. Let's go back to you, Mel.
Yeah, for all the reasons mentioned, and thank you, Kay, for such a beautiful description. Yeah, I encourage my fellow judges to have another look and get caught up in just the timing and the perfect moment captured here, with everything just coming together for this photographer, and then to capture it on the phone.
Okay, Mel, you hold your score at 93. Everybody else can have a think about what they've just heard and rescore accordingly. Thank you. And we have a gold award at 90. There you go. Congratulations to the photographer. And let's have a quick judge change. Rachel, you come into the fold, and Mel, you can step back a bit. Thanks. And let's have the next image, please. Image scores 86, silver distinction, and judges are all very much in agreement and within a couple of points of each other. That's great. Let's have a quick comment, if I can, from Rachel to explain why this got a silver distinction. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the contrast between the modern and the historic here, with the the old fridge and the newer fridge, and the kilt outfit, traditional outfit, but also all of the modern appliances, and the fact that the dog looks like he's completely worn out from chewing the bottom of whatever it was just sitting on. I found so much to enjoy in spending time with this image. I guess to strengthen it, possibly just cropping out the small highlight elements on the very left-hand side of the image, because they do lead the eye out of the frame when there's so much else to enjoy in there.
Thanks very much. That's a great comment. And again, 86 silver distinction, good score. Let's have a quick judge change again. Lacey, you're going to step out, and Harriet, you're coming back in. And let's have the next image, please. Image scores 81, silver award. Rachel on 88 would like to challenge that. Off you go, Rachel. Thank you.
Yeah, I found the simplicity and just the simple graphic nature of this really compelling. I thought it was quite brave to have it so centrally composed in the frame. Really interesting shapes and structures, and bringing you in there. I was actually going to take it into gold, but the edge detail on the right pulled me away from that. But as far as just a very simple environmental portrait of something that is seen and used every day, turned into an artwork, I felt like it was worthy of a silver distinction.
Thank you, Rachel. Harriet, you had something to say? Too late.
This is a very striking image, and straight away I really like the simplicity of it, so I see that. Just with a little bit more time spent with it, I feel like the detail in that knife itself, there could have just been a little bit more. There's the detail on the handle could have just come through a bit. I feel like some of those blacks are just a bit too far gone. And even a bit of I really like seeing that shiny edge right at the very tip there. If there was just a little bit of shine on the top of that knife, that would kind of just bring just a little bit more interest into it. And then, yeah, the right-hand side is just a bit of an error really there that kind of led me to kind of putting it in highly commended, because it, great concept and yeah, really interesting simplicity. But I'm listening and I'd like to maybe come up a little bit.
Okay, Booch, you're in the middle there. Can you please add a comment?
Yeah, I enjoyed the graphic nature of the image and the simplicity, that's been said, but I too just was a little concerned with some of perhaps the processing being a little bit heavy-handed, and was distracted by that line down the far right side.
Okay, let's go back to you, Rachel, on 88.
Yeah, I think I can see what you're saying about the darkness and the blacks on that handle, but also when I think about what happens when I'm trying to control those types of things, especially in a high key image on my phone, it's quite limited as to what you're actually able to do. So I feel the originality in what's seen here and the unique presentation of it is what's pushing it into that silver distinction for me.
Okay, you're holding at 88. Judges take on board the comments you've heard and rescore. Thank you. Image scores 82, silver award. Thank you, judges. Boots and Kay, you can step back, and let's have Lacey and Melanie back in. Thanks, Mel. Next image, please. This image scores a silver award at 83. Well done. Congratulations to the photographer. Let's, I'm pretty happy. Everyone happy with that? Yep. Rachel, you happy with that? Good. Let's have a comment, if we can, from Craig. Thanks.
Yeah, very enjoyable image. It's like there's a bit of a narrative if you want to draw out of this. This guy's it's like, oh shit, this is what I've just done, and I got to bring it back to the museum to fix it up. Given the recent, I think we obviously probably seen on the news that there was a guy who backed into a freaking art piece. So yeah, I thought the humor was great. I awarded a silver with distinction, a few points off, but yeah, nice.
Excellent. Okay, let's just have, we'll have one more quick judge change after that little bit of humour, Craig. I'm going to get you to step back. Kay, you come back in. And let's have the next image, please. Score of 86, silver with distinction.
Am I challenged
We do
there?
have, I thought that might happen. Rachel has the chance to challenge this with a 92. Off you go, Rachel.
Yeah, I found this absolutely intriguing. Beautiful tones, beautiful lines that lead us into the eyes and curve around through that image. But then I went in a bit deeper, and it's like it's built out of a mosaic with all those beautiful textures and colours. And I sort of was a little bit worried at the processing, but I feel like it's actually giving it almost like a watercolor mosaic feel, which then made me think of the environment that the image was taken in, and just tied it all in together quite beautifully for me. So I put it in gold at 92.
Okay, let's hear from Mel, who's at 79.
And for every reason that you absolutely loved it, Rachel's the reason I've scored it a 79. I just found the mosaic to be so intense, so as to distract from some of the quality of the image. I enjoy the movement found in there, but I just found that the filtering effect, whatever's been done to it, it made it feel just slightly too unrealistic, and I felt like it broke apart the colors and the textures. So. But I am listening.
Okay, let's have a chat with Harriet. Thanks, Harriet, on 88.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I think I'm with Rachel on this one. I feel like there's this watercolor feel. There's this painterly feel, and the mobile phone kind of leans into that sort of, it does break up a little bit more, and so it kind of sits here a bit better, I guess. I'm also just realizing, like, while I'm listening to you guys speak, just the detail that's actually in the shadows, like the suckers of the leg of the octopus that's wrapping right round itself, and really seeing those suckers kind of coming out. And there's lots of detail just in the background there as well, between the head and the leg, that's kind of, it's really adding so much character to this octopus. I think I actually might be coming up a little bit on this one.
Okay, now Kay's got something to add to the conversation. Kay?
Thank you, judges. Yeah, I love the mosaic effect, but for me, the edges of the frame are quite distracting. I scored it in the silver range. And maybe a slight, if the photographer had just maybe moved slightly more towards the left, the edge of that frame could have been removed, and so that it's not encroaching so much on what is key focus of the eye in the octopus. Yeah, maybe just a tighter crop would have actually helped too. But I love the curiosity that I'm feeling from the octopus.
All right, let's come back to you, Rachel. Bring it home.
Okay, so just to address, thank you everyone for your comments. To address the positioning and also the detail, I feel like the photographer has potentially cropped this in to remove some of those distracting elements around the edges, and without wanting to do it too much and lose the detail and get too close to the edge of the octopus. With regards to positioning and capture, I feel like this is probably very much a one opportunity moment. These guys, they change color and camouflage themselves when they are scared or feel threatened, and a human presence in their world would very much do that. They also retreat quite quickly, and they live in an environment where the currents can be quite swift and strong, which move us as we're in the water. So having the ability to actually capture that frame in that moment, I think, has been quite well controlled. And with regards to the unreal nature of the mosaic sort of patterning, I sort of would question that, is it unreal or is it maybe just a little bit otherworldly, because we don't see it very often ourselves. We're not having that opportunity. These guys are quite explosive. So yeah, try and push it up into the gold if we can.
Thanks, Rachel. You hold your score at 92. Judges, you can all rescore, please. This image scores silver with distinction at 88. Congratulations to the photographer. Great judging, everybody. And that was the last image. What an incredible team you are. And you just gave us a 2 for 2. We finished bang on 2 hours again. It's been a privilege judging with all of you, and the insights have been fantastic, particularly in a category which is quite relatively new to the competition space. I think there's a lot for us as judges to gain experience with, but it was fascinating to see where people are taking their phones. In fact, some of those cases you wonder if the phone worked after they got the photo. But yeah, privileged to work with you all again, and thanks for all of your valuable insights. We were very lucky to have you all. I'm now going to hand you over to the amazing Robin Campbell. Thank you, Robin.
Right back at you, Tone. Thank you, Tony Hewitt, yet again for your amazing leadership on the judging panel. You're such an expert at this, and we really appreciate having you on board. So that brings us to a close for the online judging of the phone category. Thank you to our amazing panel of judges. You did a fantastic job. Your feedback was amazing, and it's really appreciated by all of our entrants. Thank you to our entrants for submitting such incredible images. Yeah, we hope you didn't lose any phones in the process. If you didn't make it to the top 30, take the time to rewatch the judging, learn what you can, and come back stronger next year. To our software guru and director, Daniel, director of judging, Chris, and behind the scenes crew, Helen and Nathan, thank you so much for keeping things running smoothly. And of course, to our valued sponsors, Nikon, AZO, KL, Godox, Ilford, Photography Studies College, and the Print Shop. Thank you for empowering this community to create amazing imagery. Thank you also to our online audience for tuning in and celebrating excellence in photography. Just a reminder, the winners will be announced for this category and all of the others at our live awards presentation, which is next Sunday, the 20th of July from 5 o'clock. So make sure it's in your calendar, turn up to see the best of the best. We'll be back from 3 o'clock today for the judging of the commercial category. Until then, we'll see you soon. Thanks.
photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.